I call this meeting to order for the Holiday Island Advertising Promotion Commission for a special meeting for January 30th, 2024 at 3:30 p.m. We'll start off by doing the Pledge of Allegiance. If everybody can stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Secretary, if you would, take the roll call.
Commissioner Lawler? Here. Commissioner Holland?
Here.
Commissioner Lodewijk here. Commissioner Hall?
Here.
Commissioner Plumley?
Here.
All present.
Very good. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve it. Hall.
I second it.
We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Moving on into old business, discussion on the 2025 budget. This is something we have to pass before the end of January. So this is our time to go through it and talk about the numbers and see if anybody has anything they want to add, change, questions. This is the time.
Yeah.
I had a question on the computers, laptops, 600. I thought we were not going to buy any laptop because we have the shared,
Which line are you on,
Website.
if you wouldn't mind giving me a number?
yeah, 5241.
5241, that is computer laptops. So that is, over at our new office now, we can use our laptops that individuals have, and we have the security of not actually using our personal device. We log in and read remotely to that. In the office, we will put a system there that is always there,
But we can log into it remotely.
that we can log into it from
And
there.
it's safe to use that way.
Yep,
Instead
it
of us-
only functions for that purpose, and I think the issue from that is when you have a person working on stuff, and I'll do the same thing, working on a small laptop screen is a lot different when you're entering things into an Excel, into QuickBooks, and you're needing to look at multiple documents at the same time.
Two screens is a
That
mess.
the cost of the equipment is quite small compared to the other parts, so that is what the equipment's for. Now, if anybody doesn't like the idea, then we can talk about it.
Yeah.
That is what it's for, though.
And a question 5312, line 5312, legal fees, 3,000. I think that's low, considering how many times we're going to be talking with the attorneys to make sure. And I was wondering about moving 5514 online, some of that $25,000 up there.
That was my concern as well as the legal fees, looking at going with the Airbnb and Verbo situation we're in.
And that,
And what you found out so far in the $7,500 range. This isn't even
that number
close.
was definitely created under the idea that we were gonna continue to use the city attorney
Okay,
for, the contract of Airbnbs. Now, after the mayor and I talked and everything else, we found that we're gonna have to get outside legal to do that, and that's going to increase that cost quite a bit. So I actually agree, that we need to raise that number. And I was looking real quick.
haven't you already found that there was, like a $7,500 quote, so to speak, from
There-
somebody?
There's definitely different numbers being floated around. We do have a reserve, if anybody noticed at the very end, we have a
Oh.
reserve grant funding that's at the end of it. There was a change to this morning. So if you're seeing it
Yeah, that's.
this
not-
morning, since this morning time, there is a change to it, because passing the balanced budget of having that there, we had to dedicate the money that was there. It comes out to a zero balance of it. It's not a profit, so it is zero. So there is a 13,680 that is set aside as a reserve grant funding
Okay,
that we could pull that money from if we need to and not take away from the actual advertising dollars that are there.
it doesn't have to be grant related, you can just switch it.
Yep.
Okay.
We can move that over, and I guess we can either move that over now in this budget and increase that legal part, or we can wait until we actually get a quote from legal and come back and amend the budget for it.
I would recommend that we move it now, because when
That's
people
right.
see grant funding and then we're not using it for grants.
Yeah, yeah, well,
We-
not
we
only
would have to
that,
make a change
not only
from it.
that, we're just ready to go if we find someone. We know it,
Yep.
it has to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Without this, nothing else is worth talking about.
Yep.
We gotta have
Yeah.
these contracts in place or we're done.
Do we
We've
have
got
any
30
additional
days.
amount that we want to move over that for that 13.6? Do we want to take a whole 8,000 out of that 13.6?
That's what I suggest. I mean,
Take 8,000 out of
Yeah.
that and move that over to legal?
is that a motion needing to be made or no?
We can make a motion at the end if we
At
go
the end
through
of all
to
of it, to
approve
approve
all
the
the
whole
changes.
thing. Okay, good.
Yeah.
So that will take,
11 total.
that will take legal to 11,000 for the year.
And the question, on the, was it 22,000 legal fees, does that include the online redemption? You said 8 to 12,000 originally, or is that under the online 5514? The online redemption, were you
You
calling
said
that?
legal.
I meant, let's start over again. The online 5414 online advertising, 25,000.
Yep.
Is that where your online redemption of 8 to 12,000 originally for payment online? Or is that covered in the accounting fees, line 5311? Because we wanted to allow people to pay online, and I didn't know where that number was inserted.
That number is not in this budget due to still not having a quote for that or a plan or a timeline to implement the online payment and filing part. It is nowhere in this budget. Once we get some idea of it, that we would have to come back and amend or find the money to be able to do that function.
Okay.
So it is not currently in this budget.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna be anything
And I think it's
substantial.
gonna be some time too, because of the amount of money that's there, to make that. We may not make it in the first year to get that online part done.
Yeah.
We also have the two other parts. As y'all notice, the total targeted collection of the 3% is down at $82,000. And if you remember, the projection was in a year being almost $200,000. But we are missing months. We've missed January, we've missed February. March, the tax kicks in, but we still have the limitation of if we don't have a contract in place, we will not be collecting March 1.
That's right.
And we also know that even if we're at this point now, if people are paying for visits in June and July right now,
They are.
not paying that tax. And so we lose even some of the summertime traffic that is even here now.
Yeah. It's
So,
adding up, and I've looked at the.
we have a
certain
reduction.
weeks. Yeah, big reduction. So you're basing that off of already bookings that have happened, like, that you know of?
There's gonna be a reduction from the target of the almost $200,000 we have this year. There's no way to get around
It's just the
that.
first year. It's tough to get going.
Yep.
So after that, we can expect that projection to be closer to that 200 grand, I'm sure.
And that's why I took out the idea of doing the online the first year. I think there's so much to accomplish between Airbnb and VRBO to even get the collection at this point. And that being the primary part, even if we got to June or July, do we even look at the online part even at that point in time? We haven't even completed getting everything really set in place.
Right, yeah.
Or do we have a full year of funding? And we do have currently a loan of $23,000 from the city. So I think the best bet for that, even to be if we can make the projected revenue part and keep some advertising going in to do it, which mostly, if you'll notice, leaves us with online advertising this year and not much print because the print timeline has also gone by.
Well, yeah.
That we may have to even come back to a point in time at almost a reduction of this city funding, and we may have to re-ask the city for funding again in the basis of getting some of those things in place in next year's part.
Yeah, that may be necessary. I think the online thing's gonna be a pretty big deal, but we can only do so much. We gotta get started first.
Well, and we still don't have the content
Yeah,
to
right.
have the online yet.
Well, the online is not the online advertising as far as our website itself. Content online advertising can simply be ads that are displayed on
That-
social medias,
In different
drawing
markets.
people just to Holiday Island itself.
Right.
Not necessarily the connection to our website or
Exactly.
even that development. It's just ads in general online.
Yeah,
We have much
boosting.
more access to online ads than we do print ads
That's
that have a
right.
deadline.
That's true.
Yeah, we. sure
Online,
do.
you can turn on at a flip of a switch.
Yep.
Whereas print, you gotta plan months.
And once
or even
those
a
are
year
all
ahead.
set up, it's just a matter of pushing a button to redo the ad,
Yeah.
or whatever, and the card's set up on it. I mean, it's pretty easy. Change the content, of course, or the ad, or whatever you're doing, but, yeah, that's all right. I think-
I mean, and talking about things that are either missing in the budget or that we wanted to do, I mean, there's not a part in this budget, I think I said it when the chili cook-off was here, was the idea of, looking at events, the AMP can actually create or take over in a way that they would actually be an AMP event.
Sponsored by
There's not even any money for that to happen. The lack that we had for that was the leftover amount to put towards grant funding that we could eventually pull from grant funding
Yeah.
into our own event.
the projection number is the biggest problem. I mean,
Yeah.
thinking
Income.
we were gonna generate all this, we would have the funds to complete everything we're talking about.
Yep.
But who would have even thought to project that much missed revenue from taxes, knowing it's gonna be this tough to get started?
I mean, I think the two
mean-
parts to remember is people booking right now are not paying that tax, even if
That's
they
it.
stay in January or
I've got-
July,
Yeah,
June,
you've got several
August.
going already, right? But,
There-
yeah,
It's all around.
Got a workaround on it.
yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
there's definitely that part that people are collecting that part now. They're not gonna pay that tax, even though they're staying here during the tax period.
That's right.
That we're gonna lose that revenue.
Yeah.
We still have the chance, even at today. I mean, what are we? We're 29 days from the first taxable day
Yeah,
with no contract with Airbnb or VRBO.
and there'll be a lot of bookings between now and then that happen.
There will be,
Now, like
there'll
I
be a bunch
said,
of bookings.
Huh?
There'll be a bunch of bookings,
Yeah,
but that's
there
even
already
if we
is.
can
I'm getting
get the
them.
contract and stuff lined up for Airbnb to actually put it on their site.
It's gonna take them a minute to do it.
We,
I don't
we
see
may be
us-
45 days out and lose
60.
15 days worth of 80% of the budget in the
I
first
bet,
15 days.
I bet we're 60 days, to be, I mean, knowing how they move.
Yep.
But that's why you pay the big bucks to the attorney and make them move, yeah, I guess, but
So we definitely have some
that's a lot.
revenue that's going to be lost either due to implementing the taxes on these platforms or just people booking early for the months we would be taxable. And this is the only year they can get around that part of paying the taxes. So I think the projection is at least in line.
Mhm. It looks like I mean, it is a huge reduction, but it's probably reality,
Mm.
you know, now that we know what we know.
The first projection came out to like, I think, 160,000 or 152,000. And as I started cutting it up more and more, after talking to other people that continue to call in to say, how does this work? How does it work
Right.
for people who have already booked? There's a lot of people that have booked
Oh,
June and
yeah.
July, August.
I'm getting one, at least one a week for the summer and spring already. Yeah, it's gonna fill up fast. Matter of fact, the 4th of July, my family reunion deal, trying to find family members, you know, places for them to stay, it's filling
I
up.
know someone's got a big house.
Yeah. Oh, I have your link on there. They're looking.
So yeah, I mean, it is definitely an ordeal, and we might have to have that
Yeah.
conversation because I thought it looked better. But after looking at this and trying to get all these things in place right now, the deal that we have with the city council right now, the 23,000, is a 12-month period. We may be unable to accomplish that 12-month period if we add anything else additional to it.
Yeah.
We may have to get an extension on it and go that route. So
Right.
it's limited.
Yeah, the first year's gonna be pretty tight.
And even pushes in the category that online advertising at 25,000, we will probably have to play very conservative with that number
Yeah, 'cause that can go pretty
because
quick.
we're going to have an issue when we get back to November and December on the print ads that we're asking us this November and December for 2020. we're not gonna have that money to
26.
either to
Yeah.
put in place if we don't.
No, for sure, that's exactly right.
So, this is, I've looked at it multiple times, and I'm trying to figure out how to cut that up, but where do you gain the dollars to do the Arkansas Tourism Guide that's due in November of 2025 for 2026? Where do you get the,
The extensions or more funding is probably gonna have to take place, so we gotta be careful between now and then with how we spend it, so they're more receptive to that idea. Show them that we're spending it correctly, I guess. So-
I mean, you're talking about even right now, our accounting services and legal services are using a third of all of our projected revenue this year.
Yeah. Is there a line item, I can't remember if there was, like regarding the budget for the content creators and that sort of thing?
That, for the content creators and stuff that were there, kind of fell under the online. It's an
Okay.
online category of advertisement
Okay.
when you use a content creator for content
Sure.
online.
I wasn't sure if that was just ad budget or everything included to produce,
Everything in the online category. We didn't
Gotcha.
split that one up right now as we look for options. We don't
Probably
even
no
know
need
all the
to.
options.
We don't even know how to split it up yet.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just got split up between printed materials, anything online, and billboards. Those were the three categories that were created.
Yeah, that'll go quick.
So, it's tough. So if there are numbers or something you want to move around, reduce and change, I mean, this is one of those times to do it, but the reduction in revenue this year
That's
is the
killer.
one that hurt everything.
That's the big one, yeah. And that's probably a fair estimate, knowing what I'm seeing, how many of these bookings are taking place now. I mean, for the summer, that's just,
And that's what started making me want to reduce it more and more, is that I continuously heard more conversation
If you
about
s-
what do my guests do that are booking now for June and July? How do we tax them?
because they're getting the notices like I am. Like,
Yep.
oh, here comes a reservation. Now, there was a discrepancy between Vrbo and Airbnb. One of them pays as they book, the other one doesn't actually collect until they check in. So.
There was definitely a
So
difference in those.
There's a
and how
difference
they
in
were.
that, and so how is that gonna be arranged? Will the tax then take place when the money's collected? Cause Vrbo is the one that pays, I believe, when it's booked. And Airbnb is not paid until they check in.
So in Airbnb's case that I've seen so far, there would be a tax added on there. And I believe Airbnb has to send out a notice to all those people that have already booked about the increase in fee
Yeah,
for the
that's-
tax.
That's not gonna be pretty.
And then on the VRBO side, they've already paid for their visit.
So you
And
can't go back to
they're
them.
not gonna go back to them.
That's what I mean, we're just gonna miss those and
Yep.
probably have trouble getting the other. Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, as much as Airbnb keeps everybody's card on file and
Well, I
notifies
hear
them of
ya.
the change, they're going to get
That-
it no different than they
My
would for
problem,
security
I guess
fees.
you're right about that. I just hope it doesn't come back on all the owners, because
Yep.
that'll be a negative to all the owners. Like, what, you came back and you're throwing this in at the end here when I'm checking in? Wow.
Yep.
So it may be worth coming up with an idea to spread the word. It is what it is. The first year's tough. It takes time and a lot of money to get going and everybody to react when we, want something done. And Vrbo and Airbnb, they're just giants and they don't have anybody to really give us attention until we get an attorney. But maybe with a certain understanding, we could warn all the owners that, this could take place, and with any of those reservations that are made in that time period, say with Airbnb, to go ahead and buffer it to your guests before they get shocked. That way there's no bad reviews, because it'll happen. There's gonna be somebody that's gonna be like, you're kidding me. I mean, I get it, it's 3%, but if they're there for 2 weeks, that might be $2,500 rental or more, whatever it is. That's a negative, I think, for the owners for the guest, whenever they see that extra charge come.
We don't have any way to mitigate it. I mean, it's definitely
I know.
Airbnb's obligation to
No,
deal
I
with
totally
it.
get it. I'm just saying maybe a word we could put out to all the owners to kind of, here's what to expect.
And that's what I've been telling them, is that
And then go ahead.
technically, we can't charge that tax for a booking in the future if you take the collection. It's when you take the collection, does that come in place?
Right.
So I have had some private booking people tell me that if they are booking, I mean, and they're gonna do it, that's what the collection is. They have to fall apart. And we're gonna have some weird filings too for collections
Sure.
in that
Yeah.
part, that they're going to look lopsided for the month, I guess.
Yeah,
Because their collection technically happened in February,
right.
whereas they may get to June and show like they almost have 0 bookings, even though the place was completely booked out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, there's there are gonna be some discrepancies, that's for sure. But, yeah, we may work on something to get a word out, to give them a heads up that this, I mean, it could affect your reviews. Do you agree with that? A guest maybe having a bad review, leaving a bad review because,
I've already got a workaround.
good, okay. So you're warning your owners.
Yeah,
Good.
I'm the one that's in charge of doing
Well,
all the
right.
filing anyway, so.
Good,
I don't even let the homeowners know.
yeah. And so for the individual short-term rental owner out there that wouldn't, know to do, they're gonna have to, right, yeah.
They're gonna have to find a workaround to.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
They're gonna eat
We need to
something.
kind of put them on notice to figure out a workaround and maybe give them, not a workaround, like we're not cheating the system here. It's just a way to mitigate the possible bad review that's gonna come when these guests are charged extra money after they booked it and that charge wasn't there. I mean, I would be upset with it. I'm not sure it'd make me leave a bad review, but it'd be a bad taste in your mouth when your check in and your bill's different than what it was. So, giving them a heads up and an idea of a workaround. My personal workaround, I mean, I guess would just be that I'm gonna eat it. I am not gonna pass it to my guest. So I'm gonna be telling all these people that have booked recently for the future after March 1st, which I've got a bunch, I'm gonna have to send them a letter or something and let them know. I think that's probably the right thing to do to keep from, we don't want people here getting bad reviews. They won't, it makes it less attractive to come here. Yeah, so, anyway.
So I have a question. When they have their properties listed, they have the prices listed online, correct? It wouldn't be that difficult for them to go online right now and
right.
add the 3%.
That's right.
And if Airbnb and VRBO does not collect it,
Right,
well
it's-
then,
you've got
there's
it.
a little penny for the
Yeah.
people, but they really should have that listed online now, even though it's not being collected right now.
Right, and you can adjust your price accordingly,
Mm-hmm.
but a bunch of, what I'm finding is a bunch of these have like these price tools that are constantly changing your price if you want that feature to be on, which on some of these platforms you do, because it takes all the data from the comps that are being rented and makes yours price accordingly. Now, some markets are more accurate than others, but if you've got that in play, then you can't really manipulate it. It's just gonna feed, you're trusting it to price it a certain way. And I'm finding out a bunch of them do have that set. I watch these calendars on all these that are here, and I go to different dates I'm just researching. And I'm like, oh, okay, that was different than yesterday. They must have the smart pricing on. That
Got
sort
it.
of thing. So the only way I can think to do it within the system is to just create a 3% discount, basically off of whatever price it chooses to give them, because you can set a discount. 10% may be the minimum. I need to get back on there and look
You can go, I know with a lodge, you can
on your site,
Like
5%. I'll have to look on Airbnb and Vrbo, but I think you could maybe adjust that percentage of a discount just knowing it's coming, and then not even have to tell anybody, really.
But this maybe end up being an Airbnb thing where they enforce the part no matter what the owner wants to do.
Well,
Because they're going to be the
That's
one
my
liable
point.
for the collection part.
I get it.
I mean, it's a tough one that we can't tell anything that Airbnb or VRBO are gonna do. I mean,
Not
even
yet.
with our idea of what we know of VRBO and.
Right.
And we've
And
talked
how
about
they
how
do
they do the collection. I have found out that we are going to change our form again.
Yeah, I guarantee you we are.
Because we have finally gotten the verification that
We're gonna change it.
VRBO will continue to allow the homeowner to redeem the taxes themselves, or VRBO will redeem. And so that option does not go away once we impose the A&P
Now,
tax.
it's up to the homeowner or the property management company to choose
That's
Yep.
right.
which way to do it.
Yep. So it does not, VRBO will not switch over to a redemption-only protocol. So to answer that one in there, that's what will happen. So we've got, currently right now, VRBO is on a zero return line on the back of the form that no homeowner on VRBO would pay taxes because VRBO would be paying it. So we currently have to change the form.
It'll probably change a few more times once the attorney gets involved, I promise.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, yeah, there's
You
a
know.
reduction in collection. There's no way around it. And even if that delay happens more and more, the more delay there is in those two platforms implementing the tax,
Yeah.
the worse that number becomes.
Right. I have a feeling the attorney's probably gonna be making the new form once they have the contracts with these platforms, and maybe the form's gotta be a certain way, or they've got
I
a
mean, the
template
form
it.
for the user is fine. And
Yeah.
we've seen that there is almost no general form used in any of the APs.
No.
They're
Is that
all-
right?
Yeah,
They're
they're all
all- okay.
generated by that part.
There's just not a
The only part the
template.
attorney's gonna do is to make sure that Airbnb is redeeming the 3% or
Yeah.
VRBO is, they're actually collecting the 3% on the user side.
Mhm.
Outside of that,
That's it,
that's it.
yeah.
There's no other
I
stuff
will
to
say
take.
VRBO is doing that. They are collecting 3%.
Yeah.
I know that for a fact.
On the other AMPs. Yeah.
And don't know how they did it to just one property of mine, but they did it to one property.
Really?
As we've gone through all the settings and all that, it's not even listed on there. And so now it's charging 3% on that one property. And it's at random.
Mhm.
It ain't every guess, it's just, oh, this one.
Wow, okay, that's
There
weird.
are some geolocation
Yeah,
issues
there's
with
a
both
little-
of them that I've seen. That-
Yeah. Wasn't there
but
some
it-
other
It is
ones?
collecting and charging the renter the 3% tax.
Right,
So they are collecting,
For Eureka.
yeah.
probably the Eureka, whatever it's.
I was worried that with
Yeah.
my address being Eureka that would be the case, but apparently it's not. I don't know.
Yeah. Any other numbers that y'all want to look at or move around, or do we need to reduce and put back into grant reserve for right now as a usage for later on that we can move out of grant reserve? I mean, grant reserve can be for grant reserve, or it could just be reserve period for subbing some of this out. But I know there has always been conversations about different events or bigger events, and so that's why there is the grant reserve looking for
There should be,
what to do.
yeah, there should be. Yeah.
Unfortunately, in this budget, it's very hard to find that grant reserve to
It's
even put it
not-
in there.
I don't even, yeah, I'm not sure what we can switch around. I think we're at a stalemate here. I mean, yeah, it's a shame that projection is that crazy different, but I understand. I mean, there's a lot of bookings gonna be taking place in the next 30 days for summer, and,
We get 3 or 4 days.
yeah, it's picking up. I mean, every week we're past the holidays. Everybody's thinking spring break right now, you know, and
That was
first of the
happening.
summer, Memorial Day weekend's booked on a bunch of
I
them.
know Travis mailed out multiple different things, but there's been multiple reductions in the total amount for the year in revenue. It's come out,
From-
and it's kept,
from STR?
I kept on reducing the number based on
Their
what I was seeing
bookings.
and all the conversations and how these were gonna happen. I mean, just to implement the tax,
Right. It's a tough one to project. I mean, you just can't. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yep. any other number you wanna look at?
I'll make a motion to approve the budget if everybody else doesn't have any questions or changes.
Will you make that motion, if you want to make that motion, to approve the amended budget with the changes that we made, right?
That's correct, yeah.
That's what you're making,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, motion to
I may not have heard you
approve
right,
the
but-
amended budget we just went over.
Okay.
That's with moving the 8K over to the legal, right?
Yep.
Yeah, right.
All right, so we have a motion. Anybody want to second that one?
Only I'll second it.
All right, we got a second for that. Go ahead and do a roll call vote on that one since it is budget.
Commissioner Lawler? Aye. Commissioner Holland?
Yes.
Commissioner Lodewijks? Abstain. Commissioner Hall?
Yes.
Commissioner Plummer?
Yes.
4 in favor,
All right.
passes.
We'll get those changes all put on and send it over to the city council. It actually goes to city council next for them to review and approve. So y'all get to do it again. Moving on to update on credit card and CD requirement. Let's see. Oh, go ahead. You know what the requirements are in place. I've been on too many other things, so.
Okay. In order for the A&P Commission to get a credit card that we need to use due to all the online requirements, the Equity Bank had recommended a wording for a motion so that we would have a $5,000 CD, which then would allow us to have a credit card for $5,000. So in order to get the credit card, we need to look at a motion to approve getting a CD.
And this is a credit card that's already been approved by the board, that we were gonna get one.
Yes.
Right.
This is the requirement they set up in place as a bank because we're not actually a tax collecting entity at this moment of
Right.
time. So revenue cannot be generated. So the CD is for a temporary fulfilling their requirements, and once that CD is over with, then they will review the revenue and continue on with the card and everything. This is just to get us through the gap.
Right.
Okay, so, Sharon Lawler, I make a motion to enable Margaret L. Peggy Lodewijk, Secretary Treasurer of the Holiday Island Advertising and Promotion Commission, HIAPC, to purchase a $5,000 certificate of deposit at Equity Bank in the name of Holiday Island Advertising and Promotion Commission, HIAPC. By this motion, the Commission also authorizes the HIAPC to apply for and to secure a $5,000 credit card from Equity Bank for HIAPC.
All right. We have a motion for that. We have a second.
I'll second it, yeah.
All right. We have a second. Since it's financial, you want to do roll call vote on that one again?
Commissioner Lawler,
Aye.
Commissioner Holland,
Yes.
Commissioner Lodewijk Recluse, Commissioner Hall,
Aye.
Commissioner Plumley.
Aye.
Okay, 4 in favor, it passes.
All right. Passes. No new business. Commissioner comments. Any commissioner have any comments?
Yeah, I did have one regarding the social media deal. So we decided the resolution for ourselves, is that right? To figure that out.
We need to go through the process of writing a resolution for our social media policy.
Okay.
And I believe we also need one for a record retention ordeal. Those are the two resolutions needed to fulfill the issuing of us posting online and creating that, yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
We possibly have that for the February meeting.
We might
Because-
could get that for the February, you talking about the February 3rd meeting?
Yes.
Third, yeah.
We might be able to get that for February 3rd.
Because I think it's important to be starting to explain all that
It'd
we're
be a good,
doing.
it'd be a good place to, because I've got contacts with all these through this SDR association I'm setting up to go ahead and get them included on the page. I mean, that'd be a good start. But all of them darn near on Facebook. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I was just checking on that. That's,
Okay.
that was,
We can definitely look at that one, because that is something that we had talked about back in October, November.
Because we were waiting on the city to, seeing
Yeah.
if that was gonna work, and they didn't want us to
The city did
do
not move on
anything,
that one.
So we're
and
gonna have to just do it.
We got to voting time and everything else, so.
Right.
I will take a look at where that stands right now
Okay.
and work on that one.
Cool.
Any other comments? Any comments, public comments?
Anybody online?
We don't see any online comments either at this time either.
Is anybody online?
There were some people online
Okay,
watching,
cool.
so.
Good.
Scheduling of the regular meeting for February 3rd. That's our scheduling there. Do we need a workshop or something put in place in February?
For,
Looking at some of the, I mean, you're on the social media thing, the 3rd, but we have other policies and stuff like that that we need to create, and that's gonna take some time to develop and do. More of the operation policies, I guess. We also
Retention.
have, the enforcement and collection policies that are
I got you.
need to be amended and rewritten.
Those
So
are priority, just for operational purposes. I got you.
we had planned on going back through them before election date really came. And so to have those updated rules and all, we probably need to go to a workshop
Yeah.
and work
Heck.
through the rest of those things. And I think we're going to have to define, we have this problem here is that we don't have what most AMPs, and we can talk about this, most AMPs have some type of quote-unquote director for the advertising and promotion part, where board members can talk to that director. That director is normally an employee, and we don't have the funding to have an employee, but maybe we look at somebody that would volunteer to be the director of AMP, to be able to do some of the things on a daily basis or regular basis that the board can't do.
What are the qualifications needed for the director?
I guess we would have to define that at the same time.
In other words, it would be not someone on the commission?
It could not be somebody on the board.
So-
Right.
Yep. So it would be a position just like what we see in the city. We have a city council that votes on stuff, makes those decisions. We have a mayor that takes those decisions from that board and then activates them and does the things. We see that in the CID where we have a board, but we also have a district manager there that takes their decisions and goes with it, implements those. But we see that with almost every AMP, and this is a town of volunteering, so
It's tough to do.
Okay.
It's real tough.
because we definitely don't have the revenue to hire this position out.
Gotcha.
So
Other question too, or I should say under its announcements actually, that we still do have an open position with the resignation of Ken Brown, who was representing short-term rentals. So we open it up for any volunteers in the tourism to consider volunteering, and we take an evaluation or a review and see if we can't fill that seat.
Yep. And I was waiting for more applications to come in, because on that application, it
That's
tells
right.
us who would be available for, and I have not reviewed all of those to see how many have clicked that, but maybe you know.
Unfortunately, no one has checked the box of the ones we've received so far.
Yeah, so far, right.
But nobody wanted to sit on
Yeah.
the board.
Yeah. Well, the other issue to that, I guess, is if they don't live here, then, I mean, which is a big number. So
It is a large
we're
number.
limited, on who's going to be able to check that box and qualify.
That's true.
So, but yeah, I've reached out to a few people, no luck yet, but searching.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, you're still needing to fill one. Sharon got reappointed back to the A&B, so.
Congratulations,
Yeah.
Sharon.
Thank you.
That happened at the last city meeting.
Just what she wanted to hear, right? Yeah.
Yeah, nobody else wanted.
The announcement is there's still an open seat in the city, and the mayor has not yet filled the second seat here on the commission.
Yeah.
That's right, we
Just
still have
showing
another
on
city
record.
Two
commission
seats
seat.
available, one from the city and then one from tourists. Yeah, is that going to be determined? I guess Ward 3 is still the situation there, or is he going to be able to appoint?
It is Ward 3, I believe, is still the issue there.
Yeah,
Yeah, Ward 3,
Yeah.
Ward 3.
yeah. Okay.
So I guess the mayor was holding off to appoint to the A&P, waiting for them to get their board filled.
Right.
As there are more committees coming on, not commissions, there are more
That's
committees
right.
coming on
On board.
at this point in time.
Economic development.
And I was even asked to be on one of them, and I asked not to be because
You're filled up.
I'm filled up.
Yeah.
So, luckily, I did not get set on that other committee.
The guy can only do so much.
So the only thing we have is February 1st or February 3rd, regular meeting. Is there a date that anybody wants to make a workshop, and then we can make a agenda for a workshop later on to actually cover all these things that we talked about?
Monday is President's Day, February 17th. I don't know if that's workable. There's no city meetings that day.
That's 2 weeks after the regular meeting. I do not have a problem with the 17th.
Nor do I.
6 o'clock on the
On the
17th?
17th, I think that's
Sharon?
probably okay.
Would that work for you? Okay, so then our workshop would be Monday, February 17th at 6 o'clock here at the city.
Okay,
This is the workshop.
we can do that. Any other announcements? Anybody have any announcements? Any events coming up?
The Holiday Island Fire Department is having a Valentine's Day dinner at February 14th, 5 o'clock. And they're bringing in a singer that won the 2019 Singer Award in Branson. So that's our February event. So we have tickets at CS Bank, Wolf Wellness, and at the Chamber for $20 a person. So you want to support the fire department, you certainly want to buy a ticket. Or 4 tickets. Tonight is the Holiday Island Hospitality Association a quarterly meeting, 6 o'clock for social. And our district manager, Rich Figgins, is speaking along with our mayor, Dan Keys, talking about the state of Holiday Island. So all are welcome.
All right, moving on. Anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion to adjourn.
We have a motion.
I second it.
Everybody in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.